Oh, hi. Welcome back to the lighter side of technology. This is episode 3. We're so excited about this episode featuring Mr. Ben Mair, an entrepreneur to the very definition of the word. He has been in the tech space for decades. His story today is absolutely fantastic. And as always, this video is brought to you by Global Talent Accelerator, the #1 company you need to contact if you are looking for tech specialists from Canada or around the world to help your company get to that next level. Anyway, let's get to it. Lighter Side of Technology, episode 3. Enjoy.
The one that sort of comes to mind that was quite exciting for me when I was relatively young. I started something called the International Multimedia Arts and Technologies Association when multimedia was just sort of first coined. You know, if you the whole world was sort of thinking CD-ROM and the information highway. And anyway, I got really wrapped up and it was very exciting. But the problem is, after a year doing that, I hadn't made a penny, and my wife was giving me the gears that I should get back to work. And I realized I needed to make some money, and I needed to make some money fast. So I decided I did something I don't normally do. I didn't tell my wife, but I contacted, at that time, there was a DRAM crisis, a dynamic RAM crisis. There was a commodity, and basically, like, the dollar would go up and down every day. And I had an opportunity. I had a friend of mine that had located 5,000 DRAMs from IBM manufacturing facility, and he had a friend there. He was going to be able to get these parts out. I had another friend who had a client in the UK who he was going to come in the Concord that day and pick up the DRAM. So I had a buyer and I had a buyer and a seller.
Concord.
I had to figure out how to make it happen. So I didn't have any money. So I didn't tell my wife, but I mortgaged the house, and I went and bought $200,000 worth of DRAMs, which is basically
Wait. Can I back this up a second? So just for any newlyweds or oldlyweds or thinking about getting married, you didn't tell your wife about the mortgaging of the house for this.
Well, she might not have agreed. So
That's probably a good reason. You knew your wife. Let's put it that way. You knew your wife. You knew she might not have agreed. So really, it's a strong marriage we're talking about. I understand. Okay. Let us state for the record, the Global Talent Accelerator nor her affiliates condone in any way, shape, or form that behavior. Let us say quite clearly, don't try that at home.
Well, and I thought, worst case, I'd find a buyer and they wouldn't lose too much money. I had this whole idea in my head. Anyway, the day started, and I was meeting this guy in Kingston, and we got there. We were going to charter a plane. The parts were in Boston. We were going to fly to Boston, pick up the parts. We were going to then take a limo to the airport in Boston, meet my buddy, who was going to meet his guy coming in on the Concorde, and we were going to pass off the parts, and we were all going to be happy.
Yeah.
So day starts off. I get to my buddy's place, and it turns out the airport doesn't open for 3 hours from after when we thought it would open. So we couldn't rent a plane until 3 hours later than we expected originally. Mm-hmm. He was a pilot. He was flying us across. We then had to figure out how to clear customs. Long story short, it was a real mess getting there. I was very freaking nervous, as you can imagine, because I had bought the DRAMs and I still was quite far away from getting any money. And I was afraid I was going to miss my buyer and just be left with a couple of boxes of DRAMs. But anyway, we got to Boston. Finally, it was late afternoon. It was about 3 o'clock. We got a limo. It whipped us through this countryside to this distributor out in the country, and they were all standing outside. It was a $170,000 U.S. order on the last day of the month. Everybody was waiting to see who was coming, and it was all paid in cash. And so I showed up there in a suit, and I had business cards made, and I was working for this manufacturer. And so I run in, and they bring me the parts, and I open up the box, and I look, and they're the wrong part number. So I've already bought the parts. They're the wrong part number, and I'm trying to find my buddy who's, so I said, I have to call my quality department, I'm afraid. So they gave me a side office, and I shitting my pants, as you can imagine. I'm on the phone, and I'm saying, guys, this is the wrong part number. It's the wrong part number. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I gave him the part number. He contacted the client. He got it approved at the last. So I then went out and said, it's okay. It's approved. We can take these parts. There were 2 boxes of parts, and I was in a limo. So we had to get to the airport. The guy was coming in at 5. It was probably 4:30 by this time, 4:15, rush hour in Boston.
Oh my God.
First thing we do, jump in the limo. We got 2 boxes of parts. One fits in the trunk, but the other doesn't fit. So we're trying to figure out what to do. It was my idea. We opened up the sunroof and we put it in vertically through the sunroof. So we had about two feet of parts sticking out the sunroof of this limo.
Oh my God.
And then we hit the road, and we get about 15 minutes before the traffic is dead stopped. And we have no chance of making it. And he said, the very religious guy in the car, and he says, don't worry, you know, God will do something for us. You know, it'll be safe. We'll all be okay. And I said, well, you know what? If God doesn't come through, here's $200. I slapped it down on the freaking counter, and I said, you get us to that airport by 5 minutes to 5, and that's yours, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But the guy screams off on the side, so we're on the overpasses, and he's going down the side at like 50 kilometers an hour, like zipping by everybody. I'm hoping there's no policeman going to be there, right?
You got a box sticking out the roof too. Yeah,
with the parts sticking out the roof. I'm crapping my pants because all my whole net worth is in these 2 boxes of parts, and I don't, you know, I just hate to get rid of them. So anyway, we get to the airport. 5 minutes. It's probably 2 minutes to 5. We get in the back. I'm supposed to go in and meet this guy in the back and get these parts somehow onto the Concorde. Well, the guy's not there. I call my other guy. I can't get a hold of him. And then I say, look, you just got to get these parts out there. And he says, I'm sorry, these boxes are too big. We can't take these boxes, right? So I'm going, well, what am I supposed to do? He says, well, you got to put them in smaller boxes. You got 7 minutes or something. So I'm in a suit, and I go ripping out the back, and I leap into a freaking garbage can, like one of those large garbage containers full of boxes.
Dumpster, basically.
Dumpster. I leap into a dumpster in my suit. I'm throwing boxes out the dumpster, right? I'm trying to find boxes that will fit these parts. I find a few boxes. We run back inside. I'm pulling the parts out. I'm packing them into the smaller boxes, you know, and I'm just about to run out of time. And then my contact comes through the back door with someone else. He says, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? We got freaking boxes. I'm trying to get these parts. He says, don't worry. We got it covered. Put them back in the boxes. So I put him back in the boxes. He disappears with this other guy out into the tarmac somewhere, comes back, and he has like $250,000 US in traveler's checks. We got it just onto the Concorde just in time. He asked me if I wanted to drive back with him, and I said no. I took a one-way ticket. I went and bought a one-way ticket with my proceeds and flew back to Toronto, bought a bunch of lobster, went home and bought my wife some lobster dinner. Now, one thing that happened that day, and I'd rather be lucky than smart, is, you know, something I tell everybody, I'd much rather be lucky than smart.
Of course. But
there was a fire in the Sumitomo packaging plant in Japan, which packages DRAMs. And that day, the price of DRAMs went up $35 US that day. So we ended up making so much money, you know, like basically our $5,000 profit turned out to be like $150,000 profit.
You know, I think enough time's passed. You didn't have a third man over there setting that fire?
Yeah. It's a big fire. God. But yeah, so I ended up making 50 grand that day, which for me in my 20s was great. And I went home, I paid off the house again because I got my cash back. I threw the lobster on the table. I threw the cash on the table with my wife. It was cash. And I said, there you go, honey. There's your freaking money. Now I'm going to go back and do my multimedia association again.
that buy you some breathing room. Did you tell her at that point with the lobster and the pile of cash? Did you say, hey, you know, I did have to do this with the house. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but hey, you can trust your husband? Did you come clean that night?
I think I did, but I waited until after I'd been rewarded appropriately.
Of course. And after she was drunk on lobster. After she had a belly full of lobster, probably. And there you have it, folks. Episode 3. Big thanks to Ben Mair. Wise words. He said better to be lucky than smart. In his situation, it certainly was. But once again, let us say from all of us here at Global Talent Accelerator, we do not condone any of that dubious behavior within the marriage. Hey, it worked out for Ben, but it might not work out for you. We'll see you next time. If you'd like to join one of these episodes, please reach out to me directly. You will see my tag wherever this video is posted. Thank you very much.